Beautiful songs coming from Marcia Griffiths this morning. She's under the spotlight. Marcia, good morning. So good to have you with us.
Good morning, John T. It's a beautiful day.
Oh, it is. And this, yeah, look on the beautification she has brought into the studio here. Make this studio look even more beautiful. Marcia, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. And, of course, the big event taking place next week. But let's talk about a little bit about myself and way back. We have to because there's a little bit something that we need to clarify. There are times when I've been involved in conversation with people, and back in the days when you started, were you ever a member of Byron Lee and the Dragonaires?
Yes, I was. Byron Lee, don't forget, I started with Byron Lee Easter Monday morning at the Carib Theatre. That's the band I sang No Time to Lose with. So eventually I became one of the vocalists for the band. So I used to go different places in Jamaica. On Wednesdays we go to Club Maracas and, just about wherever the band plays. And I used to sing with them.
I'm happy for that clarification because so many people, they knew you from the days of Studio One. But they never knew about the fact that you were involved with Byron Lee and the Dragonaires.
That's how I started. Yeah. I left Carib Theatre and I walked down to Studio One that morning.
What was it like?
Wow, that feeling was just overwhelming because I walked from there after being, that performance at one song there, boy, it went down so good. And they were fighting against me coming on that show. So it was such a wonderful feeling for Philip James, who is the one who discovered me. I asked Byron for me to come on stage, and they said absolutely no. So for me to have conquered that morning was a wonderful feeling. So that's how I ended up signing with Ronnie Nasrallah, who was the manager for Byron's band, and going down to Studio One, where I started recording the very day I walked in there.
Why do you think there was a little objection for you to have performed at that time?
I don't know, because the show was already planned and they didn't know what I could do. They didn't know my potential, the ability for me. Because when Philip heard me singing, where I was with he visited his girlfriend, heard me singing with this guy playing the guitar. So Byron, of course, didn't know what to expect. So everybody said, no, because our show planned long time, so we're going with this person.
with this little girl here.
Yes, so them set out deliberate to sabotage me that morning. And I'm just a little girl, innocent, walking on this big stage for the very first time. So I was totally lost when I walk out there and waiting for the band to start playing the introduction for No Time to Lose. And like from my coming here, I can't hear anything, and I turn around to look at them, and I see the guitarist and few members smiling, So even at that young age, I recognized sabotage.
Were you nervous at any time?
No, never, because I was so confident in myself. I was more anxious to show them what I could do, especially after the rejection from Byron saying no, I couldn't come on the stage. So I was just anxious. So I just started singing by myself, and then better follow me.
Look at that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you didn't do that, they would have been embarrassed to see you doing so well and they just stood there not doing anything.
Well, they felt bad eventually because I heard a voice say, little girl, you better start singing, because the audience started to get a little uneasy, mumbling and everything. So I just hear the voice say, start sing, and I started to sing.
Talking to Marcia Griffiths this morning, more from her in a moment.
Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one man.
This is certainly a nice rendition. Assassin standing by to come on in there. But let's talk more about from Studio One now onwards. You did a number of recordings while you were at Studio One. Now, getting that exposure to Studio One, you must have, when you moved on from there, what happened?
Well, I stayed at Studio One in the entire decade of the 60s. I had songs written by Bob Andy in the entire decade of the 60s. Then nothing was happening. So Harry J was an insurance man, and he came by one day. I never forget that day. Mr. Dad chased him straight outside because he was talking to me and Bob Andy. And Mr. Dad, I guess, recognized that this man come to take away my artist. So we went down to Harry J, and that is where we had Young, Gifted and Black, Bob Andy and myself.
That was a big one for you.
Oh yes, number 2 on the British charts.
Yeah, most of us remember that song. It was actually not only on the British chart, but it was on the charts in Jamaica, that song. On both radio stations at the time.
Well, it did much better in UK and Europe. And our biggest fans there were some white guys called the Skinheads. I've never seen that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's on that kind of a racist group there. Yeah, skinheads.
They were kind of black power like, a consciousness.
Was that your first international exposure?
Going to England? No, I just got back from Germany in 1969, where I went up there with Fab Five, who was then called the Reggaes. And we recorded an album there and 2 songs in German language with a 30-piece orchestra. So I just came back to Jamaica when we got the call from England saying that the song Young, Gifted and Black was number 2 on the British charts, and they wanted us to come up to do Top of the Pops, which is one of the biggest television shows in England. So I had to detour from going back to England to Germany and just went straight to London with Bob Andy. I went on Top of the Pops, and we toured extensively in England and Europe with that one song.
You know, Marcia, you must be commended, because I don't know of any other artist from the Caribbean who has been around from that long time in the 60s, and still in 2024 you're still recording.
Well, what can I say? All the glory belongs to God. He has preserved me, and I don't take it for granted. This is something that I really look deeply into, and I must be doing something that is pleasing to God, because I've inspired all the other young upcoming women in the business, which is priceless. That is one of my top achievements on my journey, to have inspired so many young women in the business today.
That is not true, because most time when I go to shows, almost all the shows that I've gone to, and we see a female artist, an upcoming one, goes on stage, they're going to sing 1 or 2 songs of Marcia Griffiths.
Yeah.
You know? It's
really a wonderful feeling, John. Really, really wonderful.
And even the talented Etana, when she did your song, Stepping Out of Babylon, that was really... And she did a very good rendition of the song, I must say.
Beautiful.
Marcia Griffiths, our guest this morning, but, while I'm talking to her, I still have to play some of her songs. Powerful song, this one, by the way.
Warning, 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 warning. We want them night, evening, and even morning. Still some no listen when G attack. These are the questions we are asked. How many more words do the messengers have to bring? How many more? And how many more songs do the singers have to sing? Oh, I know. Before the fussing and fighting wrap up and done. Before another mother stop cry for her son.
I had a conversation with Lady G some years ago. Even though she loves working with you, but she's somewhat challenged, because she said when you're on stage and move into a song like this, she can't follow you at all.
No, that's not true. We work very well together.
I realized that.
Good vibes.
And you were accustomed to the collaboration from way back when you mentioned about Bob Andy there.
Well, I've had 50 collaborations so far.
Hey,
Yeah.
look at that.
50.
And quite a number of these performers will be with you next week at your show.
Yes, we couldn't afford to have the 50, but we chose a good collection, good selection of artists. And one of them, Busy Signal, is one that I hardly work with. We just did our collab just once. Automatic. Cutty Ranks is another DJ that I've hardly worked with. I remember the last time we did Fire Burning together in Europe. The banners on stage caught fire, and next thing I know, I see Fire Brigade coming in to out fire, while we were performing that song.
For real?
This is going to be the second time.
Look at that now.
Am I really hearing your lungs? Just like I dreamed it would be. I feel like we're frozen in time. You're the only one I could see. Hey,
This one is one of the popular collabs that you have done, because there's no show that you can do and don't sing the song.
Serious thing. This is a favorite of everyone.
Working out with Davil here, because I know
Yeah.
they're gonna scream when you go and say, "What happened to that song?" But the song.
No, man, everyone is going to be there. It's going to be really, really nice. It's an upliftment that no one should miss.
All these singers that you have done collaborate. Tell me the connection. Was it you or they who wanted to perform with you?
Well, to be honest, I don't want it to come out the wrong way, but it's they always express how wonderful it would be to do a collab with me. And it's not everyone that I will always do a collab with, but at the same time, they express how much they would love to do a collaboration with me. So it's always, most of the time, they ask me, like, for example, Davil. We were in the studio at Penthouse, and I know this song, love this song, and Davil suggested, to do that song. But he mentioned, even just the other day we were talking, that I could easily say to him, I'm not doing the song with him, but I did it. And look at the result. It's just a beautiful song, and he complimented the song very well. So it was a good choice.
Well, what you've done is to earn the respect and the love of these singers, the young ones who they see you, and the women we mentioned a while ago, they try to emulate you. But that respect that they have for you, there's no doubt why you're going to have all these people performing with you next week, Sunday. But I want to go back a little bit in your career, and your exposure internationally. You have gone to so many countries. Is there a country that you have not yet gone that you would have loved to go?
India, undoubtedly. India is where I think my foreparents are from India. My mother is Indian, and her father came from India, and I'd love to touch that soil.
Any efforts? Are you making any effort?
I've gotten offers, but it was right. And not because I really want to go there. I'm not going to just go there like that. Things have to be right, It has to be the right time. And let's put it this way. I usually ask God to order my footsteps. Wherever I decide to go, I'm not just going to go there because, having fun. I want to go there at the right time. I love to be in the right place at the right time. So let's see what God has in store, Never know.
Okay, since we're on that, talk about Bob Marley. I have to talk about Bob Marley. We can't leave that out of the mix at all, because
that's one of my highlights.
Yes, so talk about the introduction to Marley as an I3, a member of the I3. Talk about that. What actually started?
Well, it would take us a whole day, but just a little briefing. It was one of my highlights. It was an experience that I cannot really find the right adjectives to describe, because knowing someone who you have no doubt that was truly sent by the Almighty God to do the work that He laid and did, it is a feeling that you cannot express. And I have no doubt, and there's no apology to say that I know that this man was truly sent to do the work. And it was a pleasure, an honor, and a beautiful experience working alongside with Bob as a member of I3. And of course, let me add here that Rita, Judy, and myself coming together was no coincidence. It was ordained by the Almighty also, because at the time we came together, it was a time when Bob, Peter, and Bonnie had a fallout. Whatever the reason was, I did not know. But at the exact time they had this fallout, that was the exact time the group was formed, I3. And he heard that we were performing at the arena on a gospel show and invited us to do Natty Dread. That was the first song together as I3. Prior to that, Rita and myself did Rocket Baby with him. So we went in to do Natty Dread, and it went straight to the number one spot. Then after His Majesty's passing, we went in and did Jaliv, number one. So the rest is history. We became his three little birds. You know?
Who named the group?
I did.
I3.
Yeah.
Because there are times when people say I3s, but
No, it's
I3.
like saying we three, but instead of saying we three, we say I3. So it's not I trees, it's we three.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I met Bob some years ago, long time before, when I was at Mighty Lost Corner. He told me about a situation or incident down in Africa when you all ran off the stage and left him. Talk about that down there in Africa.
That was in Zimbabwe. We went there to perform for the independence. Mugabe was... They were getting independence there. And immediately as the prince drove in the stadium, I was the first person to smell something strange. And when I look around to see if anybody was smelling what I was smelling, everybody was just there still playing until suddenly it got worse, and I realized this is tear gas. Everyone started running for their lives, and there was a stampede in the stadium. I saw kids being trampled. And we just ran for our life, not even thinking about Bob. Ziggy was there as a little boy. And we never stopped running until we reached a house where we were staying. We found that place because we were with Joe Stabliski, who was working with Bob, and he's from Rhodesia as well. So he guided us through the stadium, running breathlessly until we reached a house. And it's not until we reached a house we started wondering, my God, I wonder what happened to Bob and Ziggy. So after everything came back to a calm, we understood that Bob went back on stage, finished his performance. That was one of the moments my respect went up for Bob, because he was ready to die with his people. He wasn't just a man preaching. He was practicing what he preached. Whatever the reason or the cause was, Bob was ready to go down with his people. He wasn't running anywhere. And I remember I heard that he went back on stage and finished his performance. And when we saw him later on, came to the house, he said, "Now we know who are the real revolutionaries." We felt so bad.
You all ran and left Bob.
But we thought this is it. Because I look up to the heavens and I said, Father God, from as a little girl, all I used to hear my grandfather talk about is war. When it comes to Rhodesia, nothing but war. So I said, God is down and say, come take my life, because we saw soldiers mask up in them thing and like ready for war. So we thought this was it. Since they have so much black people in one place, I'm going to just kill off everybody. So, we don't know. We had to just run.
Was Bob, when he said that was he upset, really?
No. He was just giving us a line from his song, "Now we know who are the real revolutionaries."
What was the crowd like, though?
Oh, my. What do you think happened? Everybody outside who was not allowed in the stadium, there's a set of guys there call themselves the freedom fighters. This is what we learned after. And they were on the outside hearing Bob Marley in the stadium and then not able to come in and they flatten the fence. So because they flattened the fence to come in, that was when the tear gas was used. But it was really something else to hear and to witness Bob Marley in Africa. Wow.
Look at that. Look at that. Let me play the song that you wrote in tribute to him.
Oh, what a blessing we have received to have been so privileged to share such wonderful moments with such a man. Oh, what a man. A unique style. So much like a child.
Oh, the harmony is so sweet, Marcia.
Beautiful.
When you wrote the song, who did you actually... Did you talk to Rita or Judy before?
No one. That song just came to me, and after having had that experience with this man, seeing who this man is, you know, Bob never have to pass on me to say, boy, you know, he was so or he was this or that. I knew who that man was, and I usually say I'm glad I gave him flowers while he was alive. So because of what I witnessed and what I experienced, I was inspired to write this song. So I wrote it all on my own, called in two other sisters and sang it, and they found the harmony just like that. And we just went in and recorded the song.
The chemistry was always there between you.
Beautiful. As I said, it's ordained. 3 people, 3 voices could not have blended so well. This is just all from God's work, you know. So I am aware of what we had. So we just try to utilize it and do it to the best of our ability.
Beautiful. Marcia, once again, let me commend you for your longevity, your consistency, and God has blessed you with a beautiful voice. Just take care of it.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. And let me not forget to say, as much as I acknowledge the fact that God has preserved me for 60 years in this music, a male-dominated business, I have to extend my gratitude and my thanks to my audience, my fans, which have now become my family. What would it be without them, their support? Because a woman in a male-dominated business is not an easy thing to withstand. But just that love and that positive vibration, that good energy from the audience, I had no choice than to just maintain. And I give thanks to all my fans for supporting me.
Thank you ever so much, Marcia. Blessings.